Hello and welcome back to NWCL Beyond the Boundary. I'm Corey Donnelly and today I'm with League Umpire and NWCL Exec member. It's Mike Bridges. How are you, Mike?
I'm good, Corby. Thanks. Yeah, I'm very good. Apart from I haven't umpired since beginning of July due to an hospital operation, so I'm a little bit lost on a Saturday afternoon at the moment.
Yeah. So I already mentioned roughly what you do there, but could you introduce yourself, please? Just tell about yourself and your involvement in cricket.
Yeah, I've been involved in cricket from workshop league level in Rosendale for 35 years or so, as chairman of the workshop league, and then obviously I umpired in that league. That's where I started umpiring actually. I never got to any level as a player, so I thought next best thing would be umpiring. Decided I liked it, took all the exams at East Lancashire, which then was the headquarters of Lancashire cricket, uh, and took all the exams and they passed and started umpiring for Ribblesdale League. I chose Ribblesdale League because a lot of my friends played for Stacksteads who were in that league, and that's the only reason why I chose it. It wasn't a case of, you know, I was a member of two Lancashire League clubs at one time, so chose Ribblesdale League and then became the umpire's rep first, and then the umpire's appointment secretary, which is a thankless task at times. But most of the times it's pretty enjoyable actually. It keeps us going, uh, and just recently I've been showing one of my colleagues how to do, the appointing of umpires and everything. But I've done it for the Northwest Cricket League for the last 2 years, 2 seasons, and Um, I still do the weekly email out to all the captains and umpires. And on
So
top of that, I'm treasurer at league as well.
yeah.
So
So I think you mentioned a bit about your umpiring there, but obviously you mentioned that you enjoy a lot about umpiring and you do miss it. Can you tell the things that you enjoy about umpiring on a Saturday or a Sunday?
well, it's just like the players really. It's my weekend. You work towards your weekend, your pastime, and my pastime is umpiring. Is one of my pastimes anyway. And yeah, I enjoy going to different grounds, meeting up with guys with players and captains and players and members of clubs. It's a nice social occasion, a social event as well. It's not just a case of going being a little Hitler and then going home. It's you go and you try and make the most of the game for your own enjoyment as well as the players' enjoyment.
Yeah,
Sometimes it can be a little bit feisty, and sometimes it can be a cracking game of cricket played in the correct spirit, which I would call the correct spirit, uh, which is it's a gentleman's game, really, and sometimes, unfortunately, we get that not good side of it, if you will.
yeah,
So, but no, I really enjoy me umpiring. I have done. I'm 70 next year, and that's most probably going to be my final year next year. Uh, I think my missus well, whether she deserves it or not, she's going to get my company at weekends
yeah. And
after
I
that,
think we'll talk about maybe the Northwest Route League a bit later on. But with the Northwest Route League starting up, and you said before that you obviously like going to see new grounds. Do
Yeah,
you think the
yeah.
league gave you a big opportunity to see, the 15, 16, whatever clubs in the Bolton League, which you could see obviously in the Rudelsdale League? You maybe see them clubs, every season, and then in the last couple of years you see new club that you've never been to before.
Yeah, I'd never. There were a fair few at Bolton clubs I'd never been to. I obviously umpired in every ground in the Ribblesdale League. But yeah, there were a few clubs I've not been to. I've been to Bradshaw in District League. Doing district cricket and Lancashire cricket. But I've never been to like Little Lever or Tongue or past Tongue many a time, going to my head office in Bolton. Uh, but I've never been to hardly any of the Bolton League grounds, and good standard grounds, all well set up. You know, I really, and I've enjoyed the change. It's been a good change, and I've met some really good, nice people, cricket people. You know, that are very knowledgeable themselves about the game.
Brilliant. So obviously you've been umpiring for quite a while now. Obviously there's been many challenges in umpiring. What would you say the challenges are in your umpiring, whether it's something that's come across in the last 10 years or so, or do you think it's some or anything that's been across there since your whole time umpiring?
Well, I think the biggest challenge to anybody that's thinking of umpiring or starting umpiring, or you pass your test now, which is mainly online. But once you pass your test, I think it's like learning to drive. You actually get your experience in the middle, and
Mm,
it's difficult these days because we're that short of umpires. But that's the only way to get your experiences in the middle. And I think biggest challenge you'd face as an umpire is uh, getting respect from the players. And I think personally, I think I've earned that respect, especially from the old Ribblesdale League players because I've known them for that long and I've been around them that long. But having said that, the Bolton lads are, they're a different, what can I say, a different breed down in Bolton, I think.
mm,
They're fiercely proud of what their own clubs that they play for, and which is a good thing, there's nothing wrong with that. Uh, and I do think if I feel comfortable going to any grounds anyway, so I've no problem there personally. Um, and it is that, I think the hardest challenge is getting players' respect because once you've got that respect, they tend to behave better in play. They play, they play the game as it should be played, you know.
yeah.
Uh, and I think the way it should be played is, hard but fair, you
Yeah.
know.
And, with umpiring, obviously, now we've got disciplinary, it's all about the ECB. So you
Hmm.
can't, you can't swear an umpire, for example, and that's all protected and all the rules stay out there. Obviously, you look at international cricket and, the 100 now with DRS and reviews, it can make our umpire decision actually look really poor because you
Yeah,
see, but as an umpire, you're there and you've only got one chance, split second to make a decision. You only get one view to it. So, as an umpire yourself, and we all know players, they're never out. No matter what you say, no one's ever out with an LBW decision. When you're making that decision in a split second, can you tell us how you judge and handle close LBW decisions?
yeah. I mean, when I first started umpiring, if I thought it were going to hit wickets, I'd just give it out LBW, whether it pitched outside leg or whatever it did, you know. But obviously, I went to the LBW night at Oslo Twizzle uh, a long time ago now, and it really opened my eyes. And again, that was an experience of my umpiring career, if you will. That yeah, it isn't always out. It's not out every time, and it's you know the way I look at it now, and the way every umpire should look at it is front foot no ball first, then you carry on where the ball pitches. If it pitches in line and not outside leg stump, where the impact is, the point of impact, and was it going to hit the wicket? And them four things to me, well, they are the four things, the four qualifying things, and that's it. Uh,
Mm,
and I've always said this, and I say it to umpires that are, learning or, umpires that aren't quite as experienced. You can tell when an LBW is right. You've no need to. My problem is I do nod my head when I think it's right before I put my finger up.
mm,
But I do wait to put my finger up, maybe 2 or 3 seconds to make my
yeah.
decision. And
Mm,
likewise, if I don't think it's out, I says, I shake my head, and then ball is quiet. I don't mind ballers asking me, but I do mind all the fielders asking me, but I don't mind the bowler, because bowler has a different angle to me when he's gone on his follow through and it's hit the pad. It looks out if he's felt it right a little bit, or to left a little bit. But I'm stood directly over the wicket, looking straight down, and I have the best view. And
yeah.
I'll give it if it's
Yeah.
out, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Because you get fielders, someone in square leg or pointing and saying, "Oh, why is that not out?"
Yeah,
Umpires there, they can see everything, and obviously you've got your other umpire there as well in case you
yeah,
need a bit of help as well. you know, a lot of players think and batters as well. They know what it is, but if you're mid on, for example, you're looking at that ball from an angle.
Yeah,
For example, when I'm videoing from the boundary, I video silently to the side screen. An LBW decision looks much worse on camera than it does when you front on. And I don't think players kind of understand that. And obviously with live streaming now, players look
yeah.
back at the decision saying, "Oh, I'm not out," but you're not there, and that's obviously you explained there, But if a decision is close, what's the kind of thought process? If you're not sure, do you always give benefits in the batsman, or does it just depend on the situation?
No, if I'm not sure, if I think it's bad together and that, and I think it bat first, uh, I won't give it. The difficult ones, it's like the under edge at the court behind. That's a difficult one, because you don't see the ball deviate on them, but you listen for it. Uh, um, there are some difficult ones, but like you touched on, having two of us there, we are a team, and there are certain decisions where the standing umpire at the bowler's end needs, the assistance of his colleague at square leg. But there are only certain occasions where we can do that, where we should do that, really. And we do work as a team. We have a walk around the ground, and when we get there, we have a chat about, if you're a square leg, give us the signal if you think it's high, or that signal if it's low, if it's okay. Did the ball carry? And if I look across to him and he nods his head, then I'll give it out because, all I'm wanting is confirmation of what I'm thinking. It's not the square leg umpire making the decision.
Yeah,
Uh, but sorry about that. But it's difficult, because like you say, the players and the live streaming. Now, I don't know whether you were or not, but we had an umpire's appointment meeting last night. The association meeting, and this was discussed at length. And umpires, the live streaming isn't there for players to criticise umpiring decisions. Live streaming's there for people who can't get to the games to enjoy them on YouTube or whatever, and uh, doesn't bother me live streaming. But 9 times out of 10, or 99 times out of 100, live streaming is at that angle. It's not directly behind us,
mm,
If it was, you wouldn't be able to see any decisions, would you? you
yeah,
know. Uh, so I think live streaming is a good thing in one sense, and it's a bad thing in another because players. I've had it myself a couple of times where we've just looked at that umps and it were a wrong one, or
mm,
it were in by a mile. We've just looked up, we just checked, you know.
yeah,
It's not there for that. Our job out there can be hard enough, with the pressure of players appealing, and appealing for nothing really sometimes,
yeah,
because they know that if you give it, they know that they're into game again. Your game's going away from them, they start appealing.
yeah,
Which again, that's my the standing umpires are responsible for that. We can tell them about excessive appealing if we want.
yeah,
Whether they'll listen or not is another matter.
mm,
But we have four stages, levels of discipline in place, and that's down to us to uphold them. As umpires, all we're doing is upholding the laws of cricket,
yeah,
you know,
and
and the rules of the competition.
yeah. And in the North, truly, obviously, the top two divisions guarantees two umpires, and then the conference divisions, you're guaranteed at least one umpire. You look at
Yes.
other leagues in the Northwest, many teams don't even have any umpires. And we all know umpires will make mistakes. It's natural, you're all humans. But I think sometimes, you got two umpires there, one umpire who's not biased. And what you say, they might make a mistake, they might be the greatest umpire in the world, but they're not biased. You would rather have a non-biased person there than someone on the opposite team making them decisions. If you get what I mean,
Yeah.
and you don't want to turn up with no umpires. If you go to another league, I,
No.
I guarantee people would respect league umpires a lot more than they do.
Yeah. I've got to say that on that point. I think 100% of players in our league now do realise, and I don't think our league, I think we're, countrywide, uh, I'd say without umpires there'd be no cricket, you
Mm.
know. Well, there wouldn't, it's like with referees, there'd be no football,
Yeah,
but who referees them is a different kettle of fish, and who's appointed as an umpire, like you say, if you have a player from each side umpiring yourself, like they do at lower leagues at the NWCL, then I'm amazed there's not as many disciplinary, and falling outs as what there is now.
yeah,
Is not more. The thing about the unbiasedness of an umpire and it goes back to the respect from the players and you building your own respect. One of the biggest things, Fred Booth and Alan Parker were the two main umpires older umpires when I started when I was in my 40s, and both them guys taught me that the most respect you get from is your decisions on LBW. End of,
mm.
from the players, that is. And then you've got to these days, you've got to the game's more about a man management sort of a thing than going in and it us and them. It's more trying to join in with the camaraderie of the players.
Yeah,
That's the way I look at it.
yeah. And you mentioned before about obviously not many players going into umpiring with a shortage of
Yeah.
umpires. I've always thought about umpiring, and I've always said, with disciplinary room, with you can make a good decision, and you still get people having to go at you, no matter what.
Mm.
Why do you think that not many ex players go into umpiring at the moment?
Well, I think it's twofold. I mean, I know I could name 4 or 5 players that I know that's took the course for the level one,
Mm,
uh, but they're still playing. They want to play and they want to give back. Some people give back. There's a chappie from Blackrod now who's started umpiring, David, and he just wants to give back to the game he's played for so long. That's his way of doing. He's also giving back to coaching and being with in third 11 team and stuff like that. And I suppose I can understand him not wanting to umpire. And I don't want to touch on. Um, well, yeah, I should touch on disciplinary sort of thing. When ex-players and crowds see what goes on sometimes on the pitches, on the field of play, and then players square up to the umpire or uh, won't walk when they're giving out LBW or caught behind or whatever. When they see stuff like that happening, they really start thinking, well, do I really want that on a Saturday afternoon? I can sit here and watch it and have a beer. Is it
mm,
worth all that hassle? And I just feel that that's a part of game in any league, not just our league. I've seen it in Lancashire League. I've seen it in GMCL. We all we've all good lads and we've all got bad lads. That's the way I look at it. We've got a good umpires, we've got bad umpires, we've got indifferent umpires. You know,
yeah.
who's to say they're good? Who's to say they're bad?
Yeah.
Oh.
And, do you think people umpire because they just enjoy it? So when we see now, you umpire, you have one game, you might get a lot of abuse and you have to have loads of disciplinary report and stuff. The next game, do you continue doing it because of your love for doing it?
Yeah, I mean, it is a really touchy subject amongst umpires and amongst players. But my belief is, if you get dissent, if it, I don't, like I said before earlier, I don't mind a bowler questioning my decision about an LBW. Where as he passes me, what's wrong with that umps? And straight away I'll just say it's going down the leg or too high or whatever. Just tell them. And even if it isn't, you tell them. You answer
Mm,
it. I'm not the kind of guy that they'll just go because I said so sort of thing. I think they deserve a reason. They're working hard all day. And they're bowling hard for the team. They want to know if they feel it's a genuine claim, then to me they've got every right to ask that question. By the same score, I should have every right to answer that question honestly. you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's difficult, Corby, you know. It doesn't bother me. I think what happens is when people start umpiring at the beginning, they they think they think having to confront somebody on a discipline issue on the field of play is a personal thing, and it's not. All we're doing is upholding the laws of cricket and the rules of the competition, which is the league rules. And that's all we're there for to do, nothing else. We're not there to make friends, you know, make pals or out like that. But it helps when you do make pals with people and have a crack and have a joke, you know.
Mm.
And you know, it just depends how tolerant you are as well. And you know, normally, naturally, you know. But I do psych myself up a little bit for a game, you know, make sure that, well, you know, especially if I know it's going to be a tight game and a top game, you know, if it's going to be league decider or a cup final, you know, you approach them quite differently. You know, well, I think you should do anyway, but every game's a game of cricket, end of the day. Don't matter whether it's, you know, a third 11 or a under 12s or a top premiership team, you know. Game.
Mm.
It's a game of cricket, and they nearly all have the same sort of laws and rules. So it's
Exactly.
not difficult.
So I think we talked about umpiring there, so I think we'll move on to talk about the North West Cricket League.
Yeah,
And I think you were a big reason why the North West Cricket League started. You and Ray Taylor both had a meeting a few years ago, and you know, look at us now, third year, we're doing pretty well. You know, how nice is it to see the league where it is now from that conversation which you were part of?
it's good actually. When you know, I mean, it's had its ups and downs, and it's had its ins and outs of you know, exact people and uh, not disagreements, but differences because obviously we were two leagues, both proud of our own heritage. Uh, but I've got, I must say, when we decided, we had the first meeting at Ribblesdale Wanderers, and we decided that's the path we were going down. Uh, we worked together, you know, and we stayed together. Uh, and you know, to some extent, we're still together, obviously, because we're still going, you know.
Mm.
Um, and I'm quite proud of you know, my whole thought process of doing it when me and Maria chatted, and I'd said it before. You know, we met after a meeting. We were at Lee, and the meeting was to join the leagues together. You going, Bolton League going with the GMCL, us going with the Lancashire League, you know, and that was the thing. And me and Ray just said, well, we've got each other if no happens, you know, and and it did come about that way. Ray got in touch with me and said, we're thinking of joining you.
Mm.
And we met up in Rottenstall, and you know, rest history really. But it's yeah, we've lost a couple of clubs, but I still feel that we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know, and I do
And
feel that we'll pick other clubs up, and mind you, that might be your next question.
yeah. So, you know, obviously, you know, we mentioned we have lost clubs. And when you was originally started this meeting and we had a meeting with the LV Exec trying to organise this league, which was done quite quickly over the winter, it's practically done in a
Oh,
couple of
it,
months.
yeah, it was from November to well, we had fixtures done and ready in January. You know, thanks to Tracy's hard work.
Yeah,
You know, and
exactly.
Bill, of course.
Yeah. Do you think it's gone better than you thought it would, or were you a bit iffy at first whether it would go as successful as it has been?
Oh no, we're never in doubt because you've got experienced, you know, what do they call us? Not exec members, but you know, experienced uh, people that could run a cricket league, and that's
Mm.
all we were doing, you know, and we doubled it up really, didn't we? Because and we I think we learnt off each other's mistakes of the past as well. Uh, Adopting one set of rules, which were the Ribblesdale League rules, was a really good idea. It meant a little bit, made it a little bit hard work for the Bolton League officials. Uh, you know, I mean, when I say officials, I mean the match officials and stuff. And then we'd never done DL score, Duckworth Lewis scoring before. You know, we did a manual sort of working out. So all them things have married up, and I think we've took the best from each league as well. Not just we've dropped some things and from one league we're doing, and we carried on with some things that the other league was doing, and vice versa.
Yeah,
Which has been a good learning curve for us as exec members, if you will.
yeah. And obviously we are looking to recruit, looking for new clubs,
Mm.
and obviously we have lots of clubs, and I think it's past the deadline now. But obviously next season and over the winter, we'll hopefully advertise for new clubs to come in. What do you think are the main selling points of clubs which would encourage them to join the North Australia League?
Well, obviously, as you'll be aware, Corby, and we all are, that we're all fishing in the same pond, aren't we, for clubs? All the leagues are wanting now, like Wally are going up to Northern now. If a Northern club come to us, we'd gladly take them, wouldn't we? Like, no, you can't. If a club wants to go and they think it's a better thing for them, then you can't stand in the way, I don't think. But for us, as a league, I think the standard of cricket's pretty high. The grounds, most of the grounds are pretty welcoming. If you can give a spectator a really good full day experience of the game itself, then uh, and I think that's what we do, especially well, all the clubs do. The ones I've umpired at this season, which have been maybe half and half. I've done. I didn't. My last game was at Lostock, in the first Saturday of July. But up till then, I think I've done half and half at each, and I've always felt welcome at any ground I've been to. I've never felt, and the crowds have always been okay. Mainly, especially at league games, have been grand. But the standard of cricket is the main thing, I think, and the location. Now, and I know as well. Like I say, we're fishing in the same pond, but the clubs that left our Ribblesdale League and went to GMCL, you know, it's smack bang in the middle of our area now. And
Mm.
there's a lot of the clubs that left the Bolton League and the Bolton Association to go to the GMCL, even more so in it, between Oswald Twizzle, well, between Padiham and down to Walton. I don't know how many cricket clubs there are. There must be 100 different ones. And we've got maybe 20 of them in that scope. So there are clubs there. It's just recruiting them, but we're not allowed to, are we?
Yeah. And
you know,
you hear a lot of rumours. Obviously, we obviously hear things about this club might want to join in this
mm,
condition, stuff like that. For me, I have confidence that we will be able to get clubs. It just depends on the right time. Clubs may have
yeah,
a fallout with their league, and I look at, on a biased perspective. Obviously, I'm involved in the league. I look at what the exec do for its clubs and its players. And I think with us being a relatively small league compared to the GMCL, the Northern League, or
yeah.
these pyramids, it gives us a chance to kind of look after these clubs a lot more and be able to respond to them quicker than, I don't want to put disrespect on other leagues, but much quicker than they can.
Yeah, you've got a point, but I do believe each league has its how can I word it nicely? Has its top dogs, if you will. Where you've got to you hear other clubs saying, "Oh, they always get that," or "They always get this," and that. It's only because it's them. And I've always tried. From I mean, I was so sad when Stackstairs left our league. It's my local club. Uh, and I've always tried my best to cater for them. Uh, I mean, there are some, look at like Chatburn, who struggle all the time. They don't have a bar to fetch the money in, but they're a member of our cricket league. So we'll look after them as such. You'll get one or two Premier clubs saying, oh, well, if we just have 24 teams, we'll fetch, and we'll get rid of all them. They don't have professionals, you know.
Yeah,
And that's a club's thoughts. But what they forget is that them clubs are part of our league and they've signed up to this league and we've accepted them. So we've got to look after the Chatburns and Berefords and Foweridges of this world, just like we look after the Little Levers, Reeds and, Ribblesdale Wanderers of this world. You know,
Exactly.
we have to be fair to everybody. Try to be anyway.
Yeah. So I think now, obviously, I've done this for everyone. Some quick fire questions.
Oh yeah.
So the first one is your favourite cricketing memory.
Well, I've got two really. Uh, my first one was a long, long time ago. To you, I mean, I don't think your mum were born. Never mind you. It was Botham's Ashes in 1981. I'd just met my wife then. We were courting, and I took her up to watch the Worsley Cup semi-final at Bay Cup. And it was a glorious day, and it was a cracking game of cricket. But everybody ended up round the radio listening to both of them smash the Aussies all over the place. That's one. And my other one, Australia again. I was in Melbourne in 2006, and I saw Shane Warne get his 700th wicket, which was Mr. Strauss, and it were
Mm.
unbelievable. You know. So yeah, them are my favourite ones. My favourite two main ones. My own personal memory of was when my first ever game. I did it on a recreational ground in Nottingstall, uh, New Orleans, and my first decision I made as an umpire at square leg was to give my son run out, and my best mate stumped. So they're my sort of memories. I'm making my first senior game with Fred Booth up at Ribblesdale. You know, got some
Brilliant.
nice memories, and I didn't all my memories are really nearly nice. All of them. Some are not so nice, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've had a lot out of cricket, but it's had a lot out of me as well.
Yeah. Next one is your most memorable game that you've umpired in.
Uh, I might have to get that away with saying that Fred one night. Well, I've umpired in. I think my first Ramsbottom Cup final, which were your Amer Cup final, if you will, in
Mm.
2010. It
Yeah.
were, it were an honour, and it still is an honour to do a big cup final. I mean, we've just had all our three cup finals, haven't we? And all the umpires that were appointed were very grateful for getting it, and it's a recognition of how you're getting on and how you're doing, as
Yeah.
well. And the occasion is brilliant. You usually get a full ground, and you're there, and uh, you just do your best. Yeah, to me, I look at it as any other game of cricket, really, but it's not. Nobody can turn around and say to you, "Yeah, it don't matter if it's a cup final." I think the line if they say that it does. You're nervous, you like players are, and it's a big
Yeah.
occasion for the league, so
Exactly.
you try and represent it best you can.
Mm. And the most bizarre thing that you've seen on a cricket field.
I, I, I can never get my head around why players play football before they play cricket. It just doesn't compute with me at all. But
Mm.
but the most bizarre thing I've seen, I just can't think of anything that's been that unusual except um, we have stopped play at Warley for some, during September, being sunny, because the sun you can't. It comes down at one side in September, and it's that low. You just batter can't see anything.
Mm.
And that used to be same in another ground as well, but I don't think we use anymore. But as soon as the sun, in September, it's lower when it's setting, and you just can't see. We've had to suspend play for 10 minutes you know until it's got out of way like.
Wow.
Uh, Nothing unusual, as in and your usual dogs running up field after the ball and things like that. But that's not really uh,
Yeah.
over bizarre, is it?
No, it's
But have
like
you seen bizarre? Have you seen anything bizarre on the game?
um well, I've seen well, I was doing when I was a junior, we were doing some training on a Friday night, and we had two dogs. They were having a bit of fun, put it that way, in the middle of the cricket field. Oh, it was so funny. You
So did you
felt
need a
about
bucket of
13
water?
points. Oh, we just couldn't stop laughing. It was so
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
13, 14, seeing just two dogs in your eye line. Oh, brilliant. that was probably the most bizarre thing I've seen. I've seen obviously a fox in the field, not in here, but on 100 this year actually. I think it was. Can't remember which game it was that. That was good. But I don't think I've seen anything bizarre apart from them to know.
The more
Um,
bizarre thing that's happened to me playing sport is I was bowling down the road here and helicopter come and landed on bowling green.
wow.
Right, that's never happened to me. It has happened at cricket because I do know it happened in Rib League once, you know. Uh, I don't know whether we're done now. Is there any others questions?
The your biggest pet peeve in amateur cricket?
Dissent, really. Dissent. I just wish that players had uh, um, and I don't know. I just wish they just accept umpires' decisions as on face value, like players did 25, 30 years ago. You know, it's
Yeah,
crept in, and it's got now that, like you said before, all leagues are struggling to get umpires. I've said it before. If if they say stuff like that on a cricket field, you know, I mean, I had it myself this year at one ground, and I come home and I said to my wife, I don't know how I do it, you know. Uh, but I'd just like to give one word of advice for anybody that wants to umpire or any umpire that are umpiring now that are, you know, whatever they're in. If you learn the laws, learn the rules of the competition that you're umpiring in, and at the end of that game you can drive home or walk home, whichever you do, and question yourself honestly and say you've had a good game or you've had a bad game and answer that question honestly, then I don't think you'll go far wrong. You know, I think it's a matter of being honest to yourself, not to players or anything. And of course, you know, we're totally unbiased. You know, if I do an old Ribblesdale League side against an old Bolton League side, don't bother me. You
mm,
know, I know some players think it does.
yeah,
It doesn't. Not one bit. It's a game of cricket. You know,
yeah.
and we have to be fair to everybody as umpires.
Exactly. You always get that, and I think hopefully with these disciplinary things coming in, players getting
Yeah,
banned. A player will get banned, and then they'll sell out. Well, I think there's been a couple instances where players been banned for the last game of the season, which
yeah.
would have title possible winning seasons, and they missed them and think, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. I can't get banned. Hopefully that will just come into force and already is for the last few years. More umpires who do report it, and then we'll be in a position where less. Hopefully, it'll be diminished from the game. It'll never be diminished from the game completely, but if it's the more it's reduced, the better it is, and hopefully more umpires will come in.
Well, it's like anything else, Kobe in life. They'll fetch things in, like they'll do a spurge on drink driving and stuff at Christmas and drugs, and you'll
Yeah,
get loads and loads of um, people fined and up in court. Well, with cricket, the more you report, yeah, the more people are going to get banned. But eventually that runs out and people start behaving themselves because they get fed up of being banned.
yeah,
But
no,
our biggest hurdle is getting every umpire that it happens to report, I'm
yeah,
afraid. And we're all different beings and we're all different, we've all got different thoughts on it, but we shouldn't have because we have a book to go at and
yeah,
there's 4 levels of discipline and
yeah,
that's all we need to know,
yeah. So
and we
I think
need to just
that
uphold it.
yeah. So that's all the questions I have. I think there's about 40 seconds left in this meeting. Quickly, is there anything that you'd like to add before we finish?
No, not really, only that I am, I do enjoy the game. Uh, and I do enjoy, my role within the league and everything. Unfortunately, it is coming to an end for me because I am finishing next year, but I'm sure, it's in safe hands with people as Karen and Tracy, Bill, but none of us are getting any younger.
Yeah.
That's
Brilliant.
that's me. I'll leave you with that thought.